Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles episode reviews. Today we are wrapping up Lighthouse in the Sea of Time. Macbeth is hot on the trail of the second set of Merlin's scrolls. They're supposed to contain magic spells. Do they? Well, they're magical, all right. Broadway and Hudson are learning the importance of the written word, and this ep is all about literacy. It's not exactly what Macbeth had in mind, though. Lost? Check out Lighthouse in the Sea of Time, Part 1. Signed, sealed, not delivered. Macbeth reclaims the scrolls from Broadway. The seal reads that it's the second scroll. It's apparently dangerous to read the scrolls out of order, so they need the first volume. The way Macbeth reads the seal makes it sound like he's the one who sealed it, which, according to Greg, confused a lot of people. Context, guys, context. Hudson has better luck than Broadway. The brick house belongs to author Geoffrey Robbins and his dog Gilly, short for Gilgamesh, even though the dog's a female. Robbins is blind, and so he's unaware of Hudson's gargoyle self. Hudson says he just needs a rest, not a doctor, when Robbins meets him. Robbins is a nice guy, so he brings the stranger into his house. Gilly likes Hudson, so he must be okay. They are meeting him on the beach. Doggy. Dogs in this show are some of my favorite characters. Macbeth and his semi-competent minions fly off in search of the second scroll canister. Broadway is chained in the middle of the aircraft. Despite referring to gargoyles as beasts, Macbeth treats Broadway with dignity and respect. He's going to keep a hold of Broadway only until the first scroll shows up. The Mercs think the scroll sank with Hudson. Macbeth warns them that if it did, they'll join it. It's probably an empty threat. Still, Macbeth isn't one to screw with. Broadway's turn to be Macbeth's captive. They're in I guess one of his aircraft there. In Robin's cozy living room, we learn he lost his sight in Nam while saving others. He clarifies for Hudson that it's Vietnam. Now, kids of my era would know what that was. I'm not sure about the ignorant youngins nowadays. Robin says that somehow something in Hudson's voice made him sound like a soldier, too. Hudson agrees. Being a warrior and being a soldier are two different things, really. Soldier means you're in an army. Did gargoyles have an army? I thought they just acted as clan/family defending itself. That's basic warrior right there. You don't have to be in an army to be a warrior. Here we've got a scene outside Robbins' house. There's a regular, fake stone gargoyle, and then there's Hudson in stone there at night. Now, it turns out it's just an animating error. Hudson was inside. Next up, an explanation of Braille and of Robbins being a writer. The theme appears again. He's lost interest in writing lately, though. What the heck kind of writer are you, man? You don't write because you feel like it. You write because it's your job. Great use of scenery in Robbins' living room to show his character. You can see right away that he's a veteran. He's got his medals and he's got his weapon on the back over the fireplace, and there's his uniform is framed as well. Robbins guesses that Hudson can't read. The only shame there is to stay illiterate. Back in Macbeth's craft, Broadway asked who Merlin is. Just another stupid magician, he guesses. Then the Scotsman delivers an eloquent, stirring summary of Merlin and Arthur. Broadway is taken aback. It sounded like Macbeth was there for the events. Macbeth laughs. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Obviously, I read about it. Oh, the theme! Why does Broadway act like he's never heard a story before? Flag on the field, theme ramming, writers using direct explanation to explain the theme. Macbeth's account is truly powerful. Rhys Davies' voice acting is superb. There's a picture of him talking. 2020 moment. Macbeth's not that old line is hilarious when you know he's over 1,000 years old. This ep, despite brutally bludgeoning you with the theme, does have some great lines. Macbeth sees the cat gargoyle on Robbins' wall. That's the fake stone one. Somehow, Mac knows this is where to look. Did I miss something? Did he have like a spell or something? I can't remember. A clue. At the Erie building, Goliath and company are still hassling Owen. They're trying to, at least. He's ignoring them in hopes that they'll go away. Currently, he's at his desk reading the newspaper. Reading the theme. Owen can't get a moment's peace. Has he been up all night, I wonder? Side note, of all the people in the series, Owen has spent the most time with the Gargoyles. Everybody forgets this, and again, they do not give him enough credit. He's lived alongside them 24/7 for 3 months. Elisa visits them, yes, but she has her shift to do, and then she goes home. I doubt Owen interacted with the Gargoyles much, as it would have been awkward and annoying, but he has no doubt stalked them by the security cameras. Lex apparently searched the building? Well, that was quick. I mean, that's a big building. Yeah. It's also another example of how the Gargs take Xanatos' leniency toward them for granted. Any other antagonist would have been fighting them by now, even if they weren't involved in the other Gargoyles' disappearance. Owen is the epitome of economy of effort, though. Why bother to fight them? Xanatos doesn't want them killed, and I'm kind of wondering if Xanatos is even around at that point, or if he and Fox are out gallivanting somewhere. Anyway, the Gargoyles will go away on their own eventually. Now he, Brooklyn, and Goliath demand, he being Lexington, demand to know about the Jets. You didn't find them? I'm not surprised. Then Owen grudgingly informs them that all of Mr. Xanatos' vertical takeoff and landing craft are in the shop. All of them? What the heck have you guys been doing? You play rough with your toys, boys. But, he adds, you might try Macbeth. The paper is still more interesting than Gargoyles. He, doesn't look up through that whole thing. Hold up. There are a lot of people around with VTOLs. Mr. Thornberry said that many people wanted the scrolls, or rather, who wouldn't want them. Owen's remark makes me think he knows more than he's letting on. Do he and his boss know about Macbeth's scheme? Did they help him, perhaps by supplying the aircraft or mercenaries in exchange for getting a cut of the spells? 2020 moment. Puck might be shining through here, too. He knows what's in the scrolls, I'm sure. He'd know that the scrolls don't contain spells. This makes the theory of Xanatos helping less likely. No, Owen can't directly convey Puck's knowledge as per the terms of his deal with Xanatos, but Puck is beyond clever, meaning he can wiggle around most rules if he wants. He's loyal to Xanatos for one reason. He likes David and Fox. Before sunrise, Robbins and Hudson discuss learning to read. Robbins learns Braille, and so Hudson can learn to read too. I like Robbins. He's a strong character. The mysterious guest. Sunrise. Hudson becomes a statue on Robbins' stone wall. Soon after, Macbeth lands nearby. He greets Robbins, introducing himself as Lennox Macduff. Robbins says he hasn't seen anyone around. Macbeth sees he has nothing to worry about with the blind man and proceeds to take the canister from Stone Hudson. You know, if I was Hudson, I'd have stashed that somewhere else. At sunset, Hudson awakes to find the canister missing. Robbins fills him in on Macduff. Hudson says he doesn't know any Macduff. Robbins mentions that Lennox and Macduff are characters in Shakespeare's Macbeth. Well, now, Hudson does know a Macbeth. Also, the theme! And double points for getting it in with a Shakespeare reference. How to find Macbeth, though? Well, Robbins grabs a phone book. I kid you not. He finds Lennox Macduff in the phone book. It's got to be the most mundane way of tracking down a villain ever. A magic book, Hudson says. Really? You've been in the modern age for almost a year, and you don't know what a phone book is yet? Surely he's seen more than one of these on the sitcoms he watches. Anyway, Robbins comments, aren't all books? Most, yes. Now, seriously, with this whole thing, with all this literacy theme and them seeming to totally forget these modern advances like phone books, this would be an episode that I think would have fit in the first season a bit better. You know, if they'd had more than 13 episodes to deal with. Those 13 kind of really limited it to critical episodes. All right, moving on. At Macbeth's castle, he's got Broadway chained again. Mac is going to test out the spells on Broadway. Why? And also, that doesn't seem very Macbeth-like, especially since he said he'd let Broadway go once he found the scrolls. And you know Macbeth is very honorable, very honest. A lot of integrity. The animation in the second half of this episode is way better than the first half. That's a really cool picture, really striking, of Macbeth grinning very evilly. Let the magic begin. Now Macbeth is ready to work some magic. He's got a fire and everything. Is he a wizard? I don't know. He is opening the scroll. The guards show up and have a showdown with the mercs. The two minions are on laser turrets. The turrets don't seem to do anything except blow holes in the castle. Well, he's going to be giving Xanatos a run for the money as far as destroying property, or his own property. Macbeth pops the seals and reads a prologue by Merlin about Arthur. Well, that's a letdown. That's how I feel about prologues, too. Long battle short, the turrets are incapacitated. The clan faces Macbeth. Goliath grabs one of the scrolls as a hostage. He'll burn it if Macbeth doesn't give Broadway back. Those scrolls are really durable, you know, like they've been tossed around and opened, and yeah, now they're being held over a fire. Okay. Macbeth doesn't care anymore. You know, they don't have the magic stuff in them, so what does he care? Burn them. Cue an eloquent speech by Broadway about how important the scrolls are. Suddenly, he's a reading fan. I don't understand how he converted so fast. Like Hudson, he's been in the modern world for almost a year. In our society, reading is extremely important. Maybe it's because everything's cooler and more important when an antagonist says it, and that's why he now values literacy. Oh, and such pathos there in his face, Broadway's. Macbeth is 100% done with today. He tells them to get off his yard because they're trespassing, and take the scrolls with you. Well, that de-escalated quickly. Goliath will give Elisa the scrolls. Nobody comments about how they were dead wrong in slandering Xanatos. I mean, not that I expected an apology or anything, but still. Hudson and Broadway will read the scrolls after they learn how to read. We wrap up with Robbins deciding to start a new book. In 1990s fashion, he starts with a wordy prologue about books being the lighthouse in the sea of time. And we have a title, ladies and gentlemen. Also, the theme one last time. I kind of want to read Robbins' book. Final thoughts. I feel this episode is heavy-handed in its pushing the reading is important theme. It was a popular drumbeat back in the 90s, I remember. Back then, they cared about kids being able to educate themselves. Those were the days of reading Rainbow and Wishbone. Oh, and Book It at Pizza Hut. Good times indeed. But I don't like being slapped in the face with a theme like it's a dead salmon. Finesse, people. Finesse. Macbeth is a collector of antiquities, as his pre-Inferno castle showed. He's also interested in functional historic artifacts. I'm not sure what he thought was in the spells, but his eagerness to rip into the scrolls and get to the magic points points to an expectation of a specific spell. Why? We still don't know his backstory. He's familiar with the Merlin story, but does he know more than he's letting on? 2020 moment. Was he hoping for a spell that would end his bond with Demona? Considering Merlin is half Fae, it's plausible that this magic would undo another Fae's magic. It's never stated how compatible one form of magic, i.e. Grimoire magic, is with another, like Fae magic. Yeah, and you know, because he's such a fan of antiques, it is strange that he wouldn't have more of an interest in the scrolls, you know, like he would be so open to Goliath destroying them. It's just kind of a little out of character. We never discover why Owen was being so evasive and snarky. Maybe he was just wasting their time for the fun of it. I don't know. It's his default state, I guess, which is enough explanation. I don't know how much contact Macbeth and House Xanatos have with each other. Xanatos was quite interested in Macbeth calling him a new player in the game. It was a nice tie-in with Goliath, when Goliath told Owen no games. Yeah, we'll wait and see. Tune in next week, because we're in for a treat. We meet one of the coolest Fae around, the Puck. He and Demona are making things interesting in the mirror. Don't miss it. So what did you think of today's ep? You can comment here or on the blog. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next